In the year 2000, Wizards of the Coast put out Dungeons & Dragons 3rd edition. 3.5 followed in 2003, and all the way up to the present day, 2019, that edition of D&D has received a boatload of content. Whether from the myriad books WotC put out, or all the third-party guys, the biggest third-party 3.5 anything, including, I suppose, Paizo Productions. It's been a long time. We sit today at the end of 3.5 getting official content, at least from Paizo. Do I think we will see more as we move on? Yeah, I do. People have been playing 3.5 for almost as long as I have been alive. I don't think the content's going to stop. Do I think the third party will roll out stuff? I do. Am I going to? Yes. But today, on Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit, we are celebrating more or less 19 years of an incredibly popular RPG. Chronicle of Legends was released not too long ago. In it, there are alternate capstones for every class Paizo has put out, as well as some general, if you have a familiar, try this thing. I've looked through them, I've read them, and I have ranked them in order, from worst to best. What better way to send 1st edition Pathfinder out than to talk about high-level play and all of the shiny stuff we can do in it. Again, to reassure everyone, there will be 1st edition content on Black Dragon Gaming. Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit is going to do a lot of 2E stuff. Probably for the first couple of months, we're going to be on 2E. In any case, I've rambled too much. 2 shout-outs today. Of course, those wonderful nerds over at Paizo Productions have seen fit to provide me with this book. And so, Paizo, thank you guys so much. In addition, this episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit was brought to you in part by 360 Mac Gamer. Welcome back to the fold, my friend. I'm glad you're back on your feet. Now, let's get to ranking! Okay, so disclaimer the first, I am only comparing these alternate capstones to the vanilla version of the class that provided them. There may be better ones for certain archetypes. Those better ones are probably better for certain kinds of builds. But if we were to stop and look at every archetype ever released forever, we'd be here all day. That kind of segues into my second point. I am looking at the alternate capstone and the capstone in a vacuum. If I happen to know, oh yeah, that's pretty good for this archetype or this style of play, I will say so. But since there's a billion different kinds of play, some of these alt capstones may be better, may be worse, for different variants on playstyle in a class. Most of all, what I'm looking for is something that will affect the board at 20th level, something that's flavorful, and something that's powerful. Ever since starting Black Dragon Gaming, I've realized that I'm kind of in a unique position. I don't know a lot of people who have played 20th level characters. Since BDG started, I have failed to do so. Once upon a time, we GM'd a level 21 shot, and that was a lot of fun. But getting there takes a really long time, and up until the end, official licensed product from Paizo did not go to 20th level. Oftentimes, these things just didn't see the light of day. And I think that's truly unfortunate. Your capstone, the class feature you get for not multi-classing from 1 to 20, is the ultimate reward. The apex that your class ever will be, and so they should be pretty good, right? Okay, no further ado, let's hit them. At the bottom of the barrel today, and this may be because, well, I happen to really like the class, and I think this is really bad for it. There's definitely one that's probably worse. Whatever, I'm biased, it's the Brawler. Perfect Warrior increases maneuver training by 2, and the dodge bonus a Brawler gets by 2, but replaces the level 20 improvement to martial flexibility, which allows the Brawler to do everything the class wants to do as a swift action. Any number of combat feats as a swift action is a lot. It could be 1, it could be literally every feat in the book, up to the daily use of martial flex. That's what the class is for, that's what the class does. It's really powerful. Trading that out, boo. Big boo from me. Next, it's the Cleric. Yes, the Cleric is a class that did not receive a capstone to begin with, but there are a billion capstones that function for several classes. We're not talking about those today. Again, we'd be here forever and they're very dependent. Any of them, all of them, are better than Proxy, a direct personal connection to your deity, allowing you to know instinctively whether the deity would approve or disapprove of a given course of action or idea. Though deities rarely bother to form opinions about overly mundane or trivial things. Oh, and you get another domain too. If by 20th level, if you have played a campaign for that long and you are confused, you are unsure what it is your deity approves or does not approve of, go home, rethink your life, pray a little, read a holy text. You probably knew that. At least kind of jumping in and had a pretty good idea by around 5th. For once, nothing seems to be better than something. Next, the Witch. Grand hexes are really powerful. Hexes in general are really powerful. It's literally what defines the class. The Witch is one of the scariest classes in 1st edition Pathfinder. Given enough time to set up, and like 2 marshals up front to be able to capitalize on things, in my opinion, almost nothing beats a 20th level Witch. They're really powerful. Grand hexes are great. What's not great by 20th level play is Witch's Dance. Once per day as a standard action, the Witch can proclaim a celebration, leading her friends in a riotous and bloodthirsty dance. All allies within 30 feet gain the ability to fly as per the flight hex, a +2 dodge bonus to AC, and they can move 10 feet when they 5-foot step. This remains for a round and is extended with the cackle hex. That's pretty good. It's not 20th level good. By that point, anyone who wanted a +2 to AC has gotten it several times over, and an additional +2 won't help people lagging behind, and we've all figured out how flying works by then. You can miss this one. Next, it's the Bard. And the Bard is the first of many classes we will talk about today that has an ability at 20th level in-house that's just really bad. At 20th level, a Bard can use Deadly Performance to force a save or die. Not only is this a mind-affecting death effect, and a lot of things out there at high-level play will be immune to one or the other, but it requires a will save. 10 plus half the Bard's level plus the Bard's Cha. Staggering for a D4 rounds on a failure. Staggering's neat, but really quickly, guys, hang on, just one sec. Raise your hands if you have killed something with a save or die in Pathfinder. Okay, cool. Now, keep them up. If this was against something on CR with you at 20th level, you probably didn't. This is bad. Adoring Fan seems worse. Staggering them is probably better than having a dominate monster as long as the Bard keeps playing, as long as your Bardic performance runs, and then a charm monster after. Because again, mind-affecting effects, probably immune. Honestly, both of those are just pretty bad. I can't believe there are things out there that I think are worse than this. Next up, it's 2 classes that I'm kind of skeptical as to whether or not they should have existed in the first place. Again, I'm just not super convinced that Eastern flavor means new class. But that said, at 20th level, the Ninja, as a standard action, could cast Greater Invisibility, whilst invisible. Under that Greater Invisibility, the Ninja could not be detected. The sneak attack based class could not be detected by any means. Invisibility Purge, See Invisibility, True Seeing, Don't See Through It, for 20 rounds per level, burning up 3 key points. And whenever we do sneak attack damage, and often we would, the Ninja could forego that damage to apply a penalty to one ability score of the target equal to the number of dice sacrificed. 10d6 of sneak attack for a -10 to the guy's dump stat, or 10 to the most important stat. Oops, big debuff. It's really good. What's not really good is Slicing Wind. When a ninja uses light steps, the ninja can move up to 4 times their speed and essentially get a spring attack. That's a lot of things. Good is not one of them. Those two don't even compare. The same is true for the Samurai. The Samurai could make a last stand whenever they made a challenge once a day. Whilst doing so, all melee and ranged attacks that go after the Samurai auto-deal minimum damage, unless they happen to crit. You probably have heavy fortification armor by now, especially if you knew you were going to get this. Yeah, you're planning for it. While using this ability, the Samurai cannot be killed by melee or ranged weapons unless they are wielded by the target of his challenge. Attacks made by opponents that are not the target of his challenge deal no damage. When the Samurai's got 0 or less hit points, of course you can spell them to death, but meh. This effect lasts until the challenge ends, or the Samurai takes an offensive action against a target other than the boss fight at the end of the game, right? That's a thing we like to do. Oh look, it's Cthulhu! Challenge him. He now has to magic you to death rather than tentacle you to death. Granted, he certainly can magic you to death, but stopping all that damage is really good. It is considerably better than Indomitable Spirit, buffing the Samurai's banner by raising its range to 90 feet, buffing the bonus offered by 2, and letting the Samurai wave it as a move action. That's, again, we don't even need to talk about this. The other one is just so much better. The Swashbuckler comes in next. A 20th level Swashbuckler, when they threaten a critical hit with a light or one-handed piercing melee weapon, basically all the time by 20th level, the crit is automatically confirmed and your rapier is coming in for ×3. That's great. What's not great is 3 additional uses of Charmed Life and the ability to activate it as a free action rather than an immediate. Is that good? Yeah, sure, it's playable, but we can just have that all the time by double dipping Paladin or Anti-Paladin. Yes, that causes us to not get the other capstone, but 3 additional uses of something that's really powerful like that is not as good as just having it as a constant. And again, buffing out the crit multiplier is great, but it's not the end-all be-all. At 20th level, when a Cavalier makes a charge attack while mounted, they do triple damage using a lance, or double the normal amount of damage using something else. Getting Spirited Charge is neat. I have to assume this somehow ticks up, or was meant to tick up, with having Spirited Charge in the first place. Stunning somebody for 1d4 rounds if you didn't just kill him with that much damage at DC 30, not bad. Certainly much better than Tactical Genius, a bonus teamwork feat, and the ability to grant up to 3 bonus feats with Tactician out to 90 feet. Is that good? Yeah, but you played an Inquisitor if you wanted teamwork feats. And by level 20, though teamwork feats are good, unless the people you're rolling with are very specifically spec'd to do a thing and also couldn't find room for teamwork feats, you may see no use out of that. Not impressed. Anywho, next it's the medium. Now, let me give one more disclaimer here really quickly. I have played a Mesmerist, I am about to play a Psychic. That's all of the occult classes I've ever put my hands on, so I might just be super wrong about these guys. But a 20th level medium became an open connection to the astral plane and a shining beacon for spirits. As a free action, they can channel spirits of any of the 5 legends they didn't contact via their seance, lasting for a round, getting them a very versatile and modal ability, being able to reach out to everybody. Seems much better than an effect that delays when your class becomes an NPC. Yeah, no, by 20th level, if that's still a problem for you, the class is flawed or your GM's just kind of being rude. Even if you are an NPC, it's not like you went hostile to the party. Next is the Oracle. A 20th level Oracle, of course, got their final revelation, which can vary in power depending on your mystery, but there are some of them that are just really, really good. Is this always better than having 2 revelations from another mystery? Maybe not, but a dual cursed Oracle could have just done this anyway. Already got a great capstone in class for you, probably don't see any reason to mess with it. Implement Mastery from the Occultist raises the DCs to resist implement school powers by 4, and they treat their Occultist level as 4 higher, and they get 4 extra points of mental focus, and the hardness of their implements goes up by 20. A buff to the DC is so much better than 2 new focus powers and a mental pool that got 6 bigger. Next, the Psychic. A 20th level Psychic got an ability called Remake Self to be constantly affected by Arcane Sight, Fly, Haste, Heroism, Non-Detection, or Tongues. Spells you're probably casting on yourself every day. Oops, permanent fly speed. Oops, permanent non-detection. Oops, can talk to all the things. Seems really good. The ability is chosen when the Psychic reaches 20th and can't be changed. Whilst under these effects, the kicker is, each time the Psychic casts a Psychic spell, they can link 1 Phrenic Amp or Major Amp, that is to say, they're like rage powers, each time they cast a Psychic spell, as long as it has a point cost of 1 to that spell without spending any points from their pool. On top of that, this amp is in addition to the normal max of 1. Not only does it allow you to have more, it allows the staple stuff to come down for free. This is so much better than 2 new Phrenic Amps and 6 points to the pool. Next, with Magical Supremacy, the Arcanist learns how to convert their Arcane Reservoir into spells and back again, casting any spell prepped by expending points from her Arcane Reservoir equal to 1 plus the level of the spell instead of burning a spell slot. That's just straight up gas, and when we do it, we're casting at caster level 22, and the DCs go up by 2. Or if you guys really want, have your Arcane Reservoir go up by 10 points and get 5 additional points each day when prepping spells. The Arcanist Reservoir has some cool stuff. None of that stuff is anywhere near as cool as high-level magic. The full casters are tier 1 for a reason. A 20th level War Priest, once a day as a swift action, can treat their level as their BAB, humongous for a character that's not a full BAB who is expected to, do some war, and DR10 over all the things, and moving at full speed in armor, and not burning their blessings for 10 rounds, for 1 combat. Huge. Aspect of War is great. Fun fact, kids, if it's half the name of your class, yeah, it's probably good. Much better than 2 additional blessings offered by the deity, able to call them 2 more times a day. Blah. Next, the 2 Barbarians. I'll spare you guys talking about both of them, because the math is different, but the effect is the same. The Capstone of your Rage, plus 8 to strengthen con while raging is amazing. I'd much rather have an additional plus 2 to Constitution at level 20, spit out more hit points, than DR3 over whatever, or any existing DR by 3, as well as resistance equal to your DR value. Kane, if Igor gets to level 20, is that good for you? What I do know is I'd much rather just buff all of my ability scores out. I'm gonna go ahead and lump the Blood Rager in with this one as well. Of course, when a Blood Rager goes into a Blood Rage with greater Blood Rage, they can have a Blood Rager spell on them for the duration of that Blood Rage, but most of the spells the Blood Rager probably is casting on themselves in combat last for the entire combat with room to spare, or they're single-use things. Getting 2 buffs when you go into a Blood Rage is really nice, but not a by 20th level really nice, especially, again, when your meta magic rods can just make this come down quickened, when the party wizard can buff you. Focus on that extra oomph into your strength and your con and your will save. At level 20, an Alchemist gets a grand discovery, learning 2 normal discoveries and a 3rd capstone discovery, or you can have 3d6 more on your bombs. Yes, the Bomber Alchemist likes that. Yes, when we built that Kobold Alchemist, yes, it used that, but I think on balance, the extra discoveries is just better. More classes will be able to use that, and an extra 3d6 doesn't matter if you have no ability to mitigate energy resistance. Now this one made me scratch my head for a minute, the Summoner. At level 20, one of the most powerful classes in the game, a class so powerful that they had to put out an Unchained variant just to nerf the thing, as a standard action could assume the shape of their Eidolon, 2 Eidolons for the price of 1. It's really good. Eidolons are terrifying. Having 2 of them on the battlefield can flip the action economy in your favor really fast. I'd say that's a lot better than the new one, Grand Eidolon, putting 4 additional evolution points to spend as they like on their Eidolon that are not subject to subtype-based requirements. Yeah, you could get your Eidolon Pounce at 20th level if they were not a quadruped, but that doesn't give you like 8 extra attacks. Bunch of tentacles, lots of tails with stingers, a bite, 20,000 claws, and maybe like a great sword in there somewhere. I don't know what build-a-monster thing you've come across. Nevertheless, I just think optimizing the action economy will always win you games. And let's be real, kids, by level 20, winning games is what we're trying to do. No longer are you fighting the bandits, nah. There's some cosmic horrors need killing. Anywho, a 20th level fighter automatically confirms critical hits with 1 weapon. And that damage multiplier goes up, and they can't be disarmed. On paper, not bad, because you're probably just using 1 weapon anyway, but for the fighters that are not, Veteran of Endless War, putting a +2 on all the armor training and all the weapon training is probably not the worst for some builds. The last fighter I played to 20th used an Elven Curved Blade, a long bow, and a lance. I'd much rather have had Veteran of Endless War, and I suppose it's arbitrary if you've used a lot of the advanced weapon training technique stuff. This one could kind of go either way. Next, the Druid. Wild Shape at Will is great. That's about 50% of the reason the Druid is so good. Need to get in a tiny space, need to fly, need to swim, need to climb, need to suddenly have a huge buff to your strength score, bam, Druid's got it. Modal is great. Home ground could be greater, especially for like the Menhir Savant who's already buffing out their caster level. Home ground gives the Druid a constant commune with nature when they're in a specific area relevant to the campaign. That can go up or down in power quite a bit depending on the size of the areas in your campaigns, as well as what your GM is willing to call an area. The Verduran Forest is enormous. it stands to reason you could spend your whole game in that forest. An elf druid fighting in Tanglebriar, not bad. If we want to stretch this up a little higher to say like Narvoth or Castrovel, and bonus points if you know what those are, that's amazing. Or it could be really bad if you're moving around a lot, but a +4 to caster levels is just nuts. Now this one's probably swinging a little higher than I maybe should have put it. This one is a little campaign specific, however I feel like at high level play, you're gonna fight a lot of things with fear auras, frightful presences, things of that nature. A 20th level Paladin gets DR 10 over evil and can banish outsiders, and heals for max with channel energy, which is cool. Raising the range of all of a Paladin's auras out to 30 feet with Crusader Champion could be better. When people with bad will saves get a little too far away and suddenly they're failing the Frightful Presence, yeah, no, feels bad. Aura of Justice on all of the hunters who don't want to be standing right on top and want to shoot. Wow, they suddenly have a Smite Evil, using the Paladin's bonus. Yeah, that's amazing. At 20th level, the Rogue, every time they do sneak attack damage, can knock someone out for a D4 hours, paralyze them for 2d6 rounds, or kill them with a DC at 10, plus half the Rogue's level, plus the Rogue's intelligence of all things, with no extra effect should they pass the save, and if they happen to be immune to precision damage, no effect at all. Pop quiz, my friends. How many people raised their hands when we asked if they'd ever done this to anything on CR at 20th level? Okay, I don't know that it's been no one, but I'm willing to probably at least guess the number's really small, ergo that's horrible. Probably will never get used. A +4 to skills, however, will definitely get used, especially for skills that you might have ignored from here to there that are suddenly becoming relevant, especially if you're like on an extra planar space where gravity is different, or we have to go to the plane of water, I don't really know how swimming works. Had that one happen to me once. Not the plane of water, but once upon a time I got Symbol of Suggestioned and killed my ex's bard with my fighter. My fighter was gestalt with a hunter, and the animal companion I was riding suddenly didn't want to hang out because I'd kill it too. And so an NPC permanently blinded that poor guy, and then I had to spend the whole campaign at 20th level moving through the sewers, bereft of mount, and do you know why? Because I didn't put any ranks in acrobatics and I kept falling all over the place because I was so used to doing a different thing. This helps the jack of all trades fill out things that they might be a little less good at. The Shaman's Manifestation depends on what it is. It's like the final revelation for an oracle, which may or may not be better than getting some grand hexes. Depends on what you're trying to do. It's certainly better than the Witch's Dance thing. A 20th level Spiritualist is immune to mind-affecting effects and spells that involve possession. Could be really good. The Phantom getting a second emotional focus could be even better. Oops, my Ghost Animal Companion is so much better. Probably stands to reason could swing in a little better. Again, it depends on how many things in the campaign are trying to possess you. A lot of these are rather situational. I actually sort of like this one. A 20th level Mesmerist can permanently enslave a creature. Much better than the Bard's ability to have it whilst performance is happening. Oops, permanent dominate monster, unless things are immune to mind affecting, or there's just nothing on par with you to enslave, in which case the stare penalty increasing by 2 might just come out better for you. Speaking of coming out better for you, the Kineticist at 20th level got probably my favorite capstone. Omnikinesis says that a Kineticist can, by accepting a point of burn, use any blast wild talent they don't know. By accepting 1 point of burn as a standard action, they can change any of their wild talents into any other wild talent of the same category, ignoring elemental requirements or restrictions. If that's not a capstone ability, I don't know what is. If that's not the avatar, I don't know what is, unless you already have everything you want. Unbridled power, buffing out your blast, and ignoring DR or hardness could get you farther. I've said this so much this video, but really, truly, your mileage is going to vary. Pop quiz, kids. How many things have you killed with a save or die? Right, exactly. Master Slayer from the Slayer, not so good. Against the odds is quite good. Because action economy is king, and it stands to reason the boss monster has minions. Suddenly you have buffs against all of them. the Investigator. Being able to spend inspiration without spending inspiration is great. Adding 2d6 rather than 1d6 is great. Adding 2d8 is great. What's better in high-level play, when the knowledge checks are done and it's time to go run up and stab Cthulhu in the tentacles, is Deadly Study. Increasing the bonus from Studied Combat by 4, Studied Strike doing 3d6 more damage, then for a total of 12d6. At this point, it's probably time to just go to combat, which is what makes that so great for one of the Jack-of-all-trades classes. Same story for the Magus. A 20th level Magus, when casting a spell using spell combat, doesn't have to make a concentration check. Shocking Grasp's concentration DC is really tiny at 20th level. I'm just saying, whenever the Magus uses spell combat and his spell targets the same creature as his melee attack, probably gonna happen. Either you have a +2 on the DC, or +2 on checks to overcome SR, or +2 on attacking the target. Not bad. Definitely all of those will see play. Legendary Blades probably better. Oops, +7 weapon. You know what that means. That means the Magus can break epic DR. Oh, also, you, a non-full BAB class, now has a better ability to hit. A 20th level Sorcerer got their final Bloodline power. Could be neat. Or with Unique Bloodline, you can get a second Bloodline as well as that Bloodline's Arcana, and the 1st, 3rd, and 9th level Bloodline powers. The Bloodline Arcana is what makes the Sorcerer really good. Cross-Blooded Orc Draconic is doing +2 per die rolled for damages that match an element from spells they cast. Really powerful. Were you not ready to deal with constructs? Or undead? Impossible Bloodline, Undead Bloodline. Need to buff out a spell you didn't think you'd cast at the beginning but you like now? Grab the stuff for illusions or enchantments. Pretty sure this one's always going to get you there. A 20th level Inquisitor can pass out True Judgment. Save or dies are bad, but with Team Leader. And I know, we kinda crapped on the Cavalier for this one a second ago. Nevertheless, when the Inquisitor regains spells each day, they can spend an hour training a number of characters up to their casting modifier and battle tactics, giving them 3 teamwork feats. They don't have to be close to you, you don't have to spend an action in combat, you just pass them out. A 20th level Monk becomes a magical creature, a true outsider with DR 10 over Chaotic, which actually is probably DR that probably sees use in high level play. Maybe. Nevertheless, Old Master giving you an additional attack at highest BAB when flurrying, and buffing out your dodge bonus to AC is probably better. The Monk is the master of Flurry of Blows. Flurry of Misses is a joke we make, but on a 25 point buy at 20th level, the Monk has a billion attacks that are probably all hitting. To say nothing of the Soha, who, remember, can stack Flurry of Blows with Rapid Shot, now has an extra attack and a full attack action. To say nothing of taking Combat Rhythm, this is an extra attack at highest BAB to make sure we can get those attacks in to buy off the negs with what is one of the best feats in Pathfinder. Alright, check this out. At 20th level, the Vigilante of all the classes can spend up to 5 standard actions made in consecutive rounds, and on the following round, they can make a Vengeance Strike, which could be a +20 circumstance bonus on the attack roll. It could do extra precision damage, could be really cool, but Past Your Limits is just so much better. At 20th level, the Vigilante gets 1 extra social and Vigilante talent, not subject to specialization requirements. A Stalker can do an Avenger thing, and vice versa. What makes that even better is at the GM's discretion, the Vigilante can choose archetype-only stuff. There's a lot of very specialized Vigilantes out there. They get a lot of very special things. The example used is the Kabbalist's Living Shadow. Or this could get you a Familiar, or this could get you Shadow Jump, on and on. It's just really good. A 20th level Shifter got a 5th aspect. And when they use the aspect, they can assume the minor forms of everybody at once, and can use major and minor stuff at will. Pretty neat. What's neater is flexible form, and that's why I rate this so high. A 20th level Shifter, when using Wild Shape, gains a total of a +6 bonus to ability scores, which can be distributed as the Shifter likes every time they shift. Pretty neat, right? You know what's neat about that? That bonus is untyped. That stacks with all the things. I maintain that the Shifter is a pretty good class, despite being lackluster. That just makes it even better. Oops, +6 to my con, out of nowhere. +6 to Dex? Oh, I guess I'll go first, haha! Because it was already like in the 30s. A 20th level Ranger got a save or die. Here we go, still bad. Unless you're gonna attack a bunch of guys that are much weaker than you, and if you were, you probably killed them in a round anyway. Seen it before is so much better. Being able to add your favorite enemy bonus as an insight bonus on saves against spells and abilities used by favorite enemies is great. Especially if you have a GM that has telegraphed what the boss monster is going to be the whole time. That boss monster probably has spells. Suddenly, not only are you really good at hitting the boss monster, you're really good at protecting yourself from them. But now, my friends, we enter the top 5. In Black Dragon Gaming's humble opinion, best alternate capstones in Pathfinder 1st Edition. I have been leery to throw numbers out on the recording, and truthfully, some of these have moved around now that I've said the words out loud. These I'm sure about. At number 5, the Wizard. The class that did not get a capstone now can gain 2 additional cantrips, 6 first level and second level spells, 4 third level spells, 4 fourth level spells, 2 fifth level spells, and 1 6th level spell. A lot of new spell slots is super good. It's definitely better than nothing. This is literally just gas for the Wizard, who also has a lot of really good choices for the non-class specific capstones, but we can go on about that later. Next, at number 4, the Gunslinger. Though True Grit once allowed the Gunslinger to fill their hands with 2 extra deeds, possibly performing them for free, what's better, what's so much better, is Personal Armory. Personal Armory lets the Gunslinger get gun training on all firearms. If it goes bang and throws something really fast at someone, we have value for doing so, and the damage bonus from gun training now goes to 1.5 times the Gunslinger's dex. The Gunslinger was already doing a lot of damage, now it's doing even more. Terrifying. At number 3, and it was really hard for me to not move this one up higher because I love this class. This class had a really bad capstone. This class now has a really good capstone, the Hunter. A 20th level Hunter is able to track foes at full speed and can have 1 animal focus active all the time. Neat. Not really. At 20th level in Pathfinder 1st Edition, survival means nothing. It's not like in 2nd Edition where you have the ability to like subsist in the plains and stuff, and that's PLANES, oh, we're in the plane of fire and we're gonna be fine. Huntmaster gives the Hunter a 2nd animal companion. Their level is considered 4 lower for the purpose of their 2nd animal companion, and they can use their animal focus to grant a different aspect to that animal companion. With Deific Obedience Erastil, that could be 3 Warcats. Need I say more? No. No, I don't. That's the scurriest thing. Actually, it's not. There are 2 more classes. At number 2, the Skald. One of my very favorite classes. At 20th level with Master Skald, no longer did you give allies a penalty to AC. Allies with Rage class abilities could use their own Rage stuff without restriction, and a free pseudo haste. Neat. Not anywhere as neat as Great Kenning. At 20th level, the Skald's knowledge of other magic grows even wider, giving you 3 additional uses of the ability to cast off someone else's spell list. And you can select 1 additional spell list to grab from. Spell Kenning was pulling, once per day, any spell on the Bard, Cleric, or Sorcerer Wizard spell list as if it were a Skald spell known, expending a Skald spell slot of the same level. Now you can grab a Druid spell, a Psychic spell, a Witch spell, whatever you want. The world is your oyster. But, with no further ado, my friends, we must talk about the most powerful new alternate capstone in the game, the class that is getting the most value today, the Anti-Paladin. A 20th level Anti-Paladin got DR 10 over good and could banish things. Literally, this is just the evil version of the Paladin's capstone. Tip of the spear. 3 extra uses of Smite Good, and being able to smite foes regardless of alignment. It stands to reason on paper that the Anti-Paladin will fight like an Imperial Lord or a really powerful angel-y thing or something like that at the end of the game. But what if you are an Anti-Paladin who's in a party with non-evil characters? It can definitely happen. I have seen it before, I have played it before. What if you're playing an anti-paladin in a campaign that isn't fighting good things? What if you're fighting other chaotic evil things? What if you're fighting neutral things? Your class feature that is the most powerful falls off. Being able to target anything means no matter what the end game has in store for you, you will receive value. And again, this is for a class that has got next to no love. I think that's amazing. And with that, my friends, we've come to the end. We will still cover Pathfinder 1st Edition. We are also covering Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The next Pathfinder 1st Edition, min-maxing for fun and profit, which will happen in a couple of months. We'll get there. We'll optimize around the dimensional feats. But for now, we prep for 2nd Edition. The next episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit goes live on August 1st. The day of Gen Con, the day of Pathfinder 2nd Edition's release. Next Thursday, my friends. I'll see you then.